Hi, my question is also to Greg. So do you think that the recent media coverage of Moira Deeming's ultra-conservative views had any bearing on the loss of the seat of Aston over the weekend?
Could I just go to Denny first on that, and then I'll come straight back to you, Greg?
Thank you.
Thank you, Raquel.
Wow. I mean, my name is Denny and my pronouns are they, them, and thank you to the Q&A team for actually putting that in my supers. I believe it's the first time you've done that. And the reason why something as perhaps superfluous as a pronoun is important is because I just moved to Brunswick from Barwon Heads. I've been a Geelong boy, born and bred my whole life, and I'm so proud of Geelong. But it's a really bloody difficult place to live when you're a trans person. So today, I've been on the phone to my beautiful business partner who's in the audience, and I got attacked, I think, 6 times verbally in Brunswick, which is like super queer. And it was like, you know, someone ran down the window and said like the F slur that doesn't end in K. And I was like, okay, I have that on a necklace. Do something better. So by the end of that interaction, I was asked by a man, because I was wearing a Trans Lives Matter t-shirt, what's between your legs? Both? And I was like really taken aback. And then his girlfriend started filming me. And this is one microaggression. It's actually not very micro at all. And then you compartmentalize, who am I? Why am I here? I don't feel safe. What happened at the steps of Parliament with Posey Parker, hi girl if you're watching, was like something out of The Handmaid's Tale. And trans people aged 14 to 25 are 15 times more likely to take their lives than cis youth. So with all due respect, if someone from the government, from the Liberal Party, is going to come and stand next to Posey, I don't care what Moira's excuse was, whether you knew the neo-Nazis were going to be there or not, you shouldn't be there. Because by default... And frankly, by being there, you are by proxy approving an anti-trans rhetoric, of which is literally Posey's MO. If you go on her website, it says this is the year of the turf. So it's giving Make America Great Again. But like, let's kill trans kids, which is actually not funny at all. So Moira should have been expelled, and I think that, yeah, I think she got off way too easily.
Great.
I have no doubt that if Moira had her time over, she wouldn't have been there.
But she was, so I disagree.
Look, Moira, I don't know terribly well, but I know enough to know that Moira's first policy priority is actually pro-women. She's a
But trans women are women. So
okay, well, I'm not going to engage in that debate, but I'm just saying for Moira, she fights for women's rights, she fights for children's rights. And when you know a bit about Moira's background, you'd understand why. But her, I don't think she should have been there. If she'd asked my advice, I would have said don't. But her biggest mistake, I think, on the day was when because she told me when she saw the police cordon let the neo-Nazis through, she should have disengaged at that point.
She shouldn't have been there, and I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be rude. If I can give you some context to what the last 6 months of my community's life has been, of which, by the way, is an intergenerational trauma that started in Stonewall in the 70s in Chelsea by a black trans woman named Marsha P. Johnson. That is how long we've been fighting to prove that we are human. And to have the audacity to even show up, stay in bed and watch Rage Doll. Like, seriously, stay at home. Because by you showing up, and I'm not angry at you, I'm angry at the system, and also by you defending her, if she believes in children's rights and women's rights, well then trans women are women, and children are 15 times more likely to kill themselves. Doll, you should have been there hurling abuse at Posey rather than letting the police roll on by and pepper spray trans kids.
There's been a lot of Greg in the early part of the show, and I do thank you, Greg, for coming in, because a lot of these questions coming out of Aston. So thank you very much for coming in. But I want to go to Sarah in just a moment. But Greg, it does raise the question about obviously the offence Denny takes, but also the right of people to protest or the right of people to attend protests. How does that operate in a political system where a politician may end up at a protest where people do neo-Nazi salutes or have neo-Nazi views?
I'm not sure of the actual question here, Stan. I mean, if you're asking me my personal opinion on it.
Should politicians attend any protests? Where do you draw the line?
Well, as a general rule, it's a political wisdom no. Because, and I've seen this, where some politicians are at an event and you get a bunch of people moving behind them with banners and you get ambushed. Whatever you might think of Moira's opinions, she got ambushed and it didn't play well, you know, and you can say, yes, you shouldn't have been there, fine. But no, I don't think politicians, as a general rule, should do demos. They're in Parliament, for goodness sake.
But with all due respect, that's why young people aren't going to vote for the Liberal Party.
And I think, I mean, I have to say that when it comes to this protest, there's been a lot made out of whether or not people knew the Nazis were coming, but what was being pushed on the steps of Parliament House